Well, that was a lot of setup.
Yeah,
That was
no, that's
a
crazy.
busy what? How many hours was that? It's got to be like
3 hours.
4 hours we were
Mm.
doing that for. But we're here, and we're in the shop. We had to move all this stuff to get all the mural out. Who did this, by the way? I wanted to actually ask you, like, how did you get this mural in the shop?
So this guy's name is Dan Kitchener. It was done right before we closed down for pandemic, actually. Um, I think I found him because we did a different mural before and I didn't like it. I wanted something more flowy, and I don't know. Oh, I was walking around actually in Chinatown and I see something on the wall. It was like this like similar crazy graffiti, looked like New York, Tokyo vibe,
Mm-hmm.
cabs and shit like that. And I was like, wow, I need to get this guy to paint this. It was, I think, end of 2019. I reached out to him in 2020. In January, he flew here, and they're already closing airports and stuff.
Wow.
So he painted it in 4 days. He's amazing. He like sketched it out in one day. Uh, he had a sketch on iPad he did on a plane, and then he sketched it out, and then the next day he was like almost halfway done. I was like, holy shit. But it was crazy because we were cutting short because it
Yeah.
was like, oh, it's COVID and we're gonna close down and all that. So we didn't know, but
Yeah.
I'm really happy with it. I think it stands out. I think he has a lot of murals that I've seen. It's in Wynwood. He has a mural a lot in Jersey. You probably would drive a car and just bump into something. It's huge. They're really, this is small for him. He would do like a whole wall of the building. Like
Nice.
I think he did a wall in Russia or Kazakhstan when it was a crane that would like put him around. And I'm like, how do you even see these things? Because you're so close and you see only little patch. Like you
Yeah.
literally have to go back to see what you're doing. But I
Yeah.
think when you're used to it, it's like intuitive or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, do you remember when I came here the first time for
Yeah.
the City of the Sun? That
Yeah.
whole little band we had going out there. That was an awesome day. Like, I just want to say that was my first impression of the shop. I walk in, everyone was super nice. Number one, what I realized about the shop, everyone's very welcoming. You know, I come in, everyone's smiling. They're like, like check out the camera. Like looking at the camera and stuff. It's just great vibes. Like, and the band too, City of the Sun. Everything clicked. Like you got the sunset right at magic hour going in the front. I'll probably play footage over this.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just an awesome day. And I told you I met Derek and I met Ryan from that day. And yeah, everyone that I've talked to about that day has said it was just an awesome vibe. So I wanted to know, like, what kind of planning went into that? Like, how did that come up? That whole little kind of street concert thing.
I think the first event we did, it was, I think maybe 5 or 6 years mark of the shop. I had a manager and she was like, why don't we just move all this stuff downstairs and have a first floor completely empty and make a party? And it was actually really awesome because I've never did anything like that when I opened a shop, when I had like a few years mark or for any holidays. And we hired a pizza truck. We had a pizza truck outside, and we had all the alcohol free, and we had a DJ. I think it was in 2021 or something like that. I forgot. It was like close to the summer, and everybody loved it. It was very interesting because we saw some people that would pass by and see, and they would come in from a street and just
Yeah.
grab a drink and like
Yeah.
meet new people. And I think a lot of people loved it, and then we're like, oh, let's do another event. So we did an event actually that was, it was right before the new year in 2023, I believe. We did an art show, which we asked some artists to bring their paintings, and people brought it to sell. They put a price on it, and I was unfortunately sick because I got like sick right a day before. I was like terribly sick for the event, but it was awesome because we had a food truck also outside, and a lot of people came in that didn't know about the shop. It was just basically tattoo artists reaching out to their friends and being like, hey, you want to sell the art? And a lot of people came and bought some jewelry art that was handmade by the artist. I snatched something that I have on a wall that I love from some person I know.
That's kind of like one of the main things that I notice with the shop in particular. Obviously, the events, they culminate like everyone they welcome everyone almost in a sense, and they kind of open people up to the world of like tattoo art and just being an artist. And when I walked in, like I said, like just seeing all the stuff you have on the walls, you know, you got this bear galaxy painting. So I just thought it was very welcoming when I came in and I got like my first impression of the shop. It was more artistic than I felt the generic tattoo shop could be. Like I feel like tattoo shops kind of, at least in Long Island, have like a bad rap in terms of like they're like a little dirty and like, you know, they're not really well kept. But this one is very like well kept, and it's got like, you got like a brick wall here, you got a mural there. Everyone here is like very cool, and yeah, I mean, I love the fucking shop, dude. Like,
Thank you.
you've put a lot of work into it, clearly. So you started this in 2016, correct?
Yes.
You opened the store, and I kind of want to just backtrack even before the store. Kind of just you were born in Russia, Moscow,
Yes.
Russia,
Yeah.
and I wanted to sort of know like what got you into tattoos to begin with.
So I went to a college to study graphic design, and I've had some friends that are tattoo artists. I actually worked in a print company that was a huge company and had a lot of contracts with companies like Bayer, like big companies, big European companies, and we did a lot of stuff like flyers, business cards, and all that stuff. And I was obviously I've had some classes in a college of like drawing, paintings, live drawing, and stuff like that. But after I work in a company, I was like sitting in a desk is not for me. And then you also have time frames. You're really being yelled at for not doing the job in like a day or 2 days. But how you can come up with something artistic in a day when you need sometimes more time for inspiration or something like that. So it was really a stressful job. I mean, I was getting paid well, but I kind of switched around. I was trying to find myself, but I was also young. So I was like, for me, was like hanging out with people in a nice company was more important than just like making money or doing something. I was like, okay, I want to go where I'm happy. And I end up hanging out with a lot of tattoo artists, and had a lot of tattoo artist friends, which kind of gravitated me toward the tattoo industry, because it was not so popular how it is right now. It was no social media. And I mean, there was social media like Facebook, but it was not no stuff like Instagram. And people would mostly come to tattoo artists when they see something on somebody.
But you said it was almost like taboo back then, right?
Yes.
Tattoos. So
In Russia, it was a taboo. And I remember I got my neck tattoo. I would get stopped in a subway, and people are like, "Oh, what the fuck is this? Like, are you from jail?" And stuff. I would literally stay somewhere and like get a McDonald's or get like a sandwich, and some fucking redneck will be like, yo, what the fuck is that? Just pick your shirt and like lift it up and be like, "Oh, what's that?
Yeah.
That's a tattoo, huh?" And like almost try to start a fight with you. They're like, "Where you colorful come from?" Like this. And
Yeah.
I mean, but for me, it was mesmerizing because, like, you paint something or draw something on paper is one thing. If something doesn't come out very good, you can erase it. You can pick another canvas or paint over the canvas. When I saw tattoos back then, or even in the end of '90s, when I saw tattoos on people, and I saw some amazing stuff on bikers or gang members, when it would be like a realistic black and gray piece.
Well, that's like where really like I feel like part of the taboo thing is like that's where it came from, the gang members and
Yeah.
like the bikers that would like pick on people.
Yeah.
So you think like there was almost a shift at some point where it moved into more of like an artistic thing than more of like a punk thing.
I think a couple TV shows. I think, first of all, the Miami Ink TV show changed it all. Even people will deny it right now, but that changed it all, because that was the first TV show about tattoo industry. They showed how the shop operates. They showed that the shop had apprentice. He passed away, though. It's sad, but that brought a lot of interest. And when I moved to Miami, actually, that was a spot back in the day to get tattooed. There was lines of people. If you would Google back in 2010s and stuff, where is the best spot to get tattooed in the States, Miami was the spot number one. It was lines out of the shops. It's not like that anymore, sadly, but it was completely different industry. And I think being on TV, on commercials, on celebrities, and then also Instagram changed the industry completely. I don't think Facebook was like that, because Facebook is more people adding people to, like, from their high school, from the college, from the university, and like having groups of families. But on Instagram, what good was that is like an explore page, and if something gets explored, it can get million views worldwide. That how people would get famous overnight. The same with the TikTok right now. So I think
Oh, absolutely.
that changed the whole industry by itself. And I think a lot of media, a lot of being on the TV, on the commercials, because even like for me, when I was getting tattooed, I was military age. I was supposed to go to military, and I had to um, go to the medical commission. And in Russia, if you have a tattoo, they take you to a doctor, to psychiatrist, and you have to explain to them why you got that
Like
tattoo.
you have like a mental illness or
Yes,
something. Wow.
you have to explain. You have to say, "I regret that I've got this," because if you don't, it's like something is wrong with you. That you can be aggressive, you can kill somebody. And also over there, I think it's still like this. A lot of pilots and a lot of people who work for the airlines, they're not allowed. Maybe it's changed, but I know like the top government officials and pilots, you cannot have a tattoo. Or if you have a tattoo, you need to explain to a doctor and get a paper.
A doctor's note.
Yeah,
Wow.
doctors
Wow.
note
Yeah, well, that's like we're in school.
that you're stupid and you
Yeah.
regret getting it. It was how it was. But for me, I mean, I was mesmerized when I saw some beautiful pieces on the skin, because it's like, wow, you see some like realistic portrait back then that is healed, and you're like, holy shit, it looks so real. Like, it's impossible, because you cannot mess up the skin, and you need so much skill and understanding how it works. And it was not many people who would do good tattoos, so it was only like 10, 20 people in the whole country. They're well known and do good tattoos. So for me, like, you see somebody on the street and it just mesmerized me. So I was really drawn to it. I was really gravitated to the industry.
My perception of tattoos, and the process behind it. I don't know the process behind actually like making a tattoo, but as a filmmaker and as a creative, I can almost sense like that there's almost some similarities between like filmmaking and tattoos in a weird way,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
terms of like the pre-production and actually thinking about the piece that you want to do. So I wanted to know, you're passionate about filmmaking. Does that bleed into how you operate as a tattoo artist at all? Your passion for films?
So when I went to college, we studied a lot of different things. We studied photography a little bit as an introduction. We studied the color theory, composition, how the light works, and all that stuff. And I think a lot of things in art, they're similar, um, because I mean, even a lot of filmmakers, they basically try to replicate the traditional art. They take like an art piece and they look how the light is there and how the colors are. And
You know have you seen Revenge of the Sith?
no,
Star Wars? Damn. There was a character in there and it was like you took the frame from it and there was a painting and it was like the same exact frame from that painting basically. It was like Anakin when he turns to the dark side and his eye, it's just his eye. And there's like a painting, it's like they're completely paralleled. So
well, if you take people like Tarkovsky and stuff, if you look at frames that he set it up, it's all like a lot of references from Renaissance paintings and a lot of stuff like that. And I think for sure there's a lot of similarities. I mean, tattoo, the only difference maybe in a tattoo that I have to work with the client with what they want, and I'm delivering for somebody that's gonna carry it on them for the rest of their life. And there's also technical things. I think tattoo is a craft because there's a lot of technical things, how to work with the skin, the preparation, the aftercare. But color theory, of course, it's number one thing. And I think in filmmaking the same. Like if you look at a beautiful films, there is definitely the complementary tones
yeah.
there. There's the lights and shadows, the contrast, everything is the composition. And tattoos art is too, like it's all about the composition, composing on the skin and the right things, because if it makes sense, if you look at a placement and something is there, you don't want to put something light where the shadow, even when you look in it, when the shadow hits there, you want to place something that is bright there when you showing it. I mean, it's all the laws, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, the
And
laws.
I tell everybody it's like funny thing, but everything you need to know the laws of the craft of the industry, because you cannot put the pants and put the underwear on top of the pants and
Yeah,
walk around like that.
yeah.
You need to know the how to build that, you know.
Well, because there's like teal and orange. There's like the complementary colors. Like for example, here we lit this teal and orange, so that carries over to tattoos as well. You're saying because the
Yeah,
colors in the
a lot of
image.
people, a lot of top tattoo artists that stand out, they actually use the color theory so well. Like
Mm.
if you look at a color tattoo artist that stand out, they try to use as less colors and more complementary colors
Yeah,
in their tattoos,
yeah.
because I mean it makes sense. Like if you try the opposite colors of the color wheel, if you dip one color into another color, like if you have the needle in one color a lot and you dip a little bit in the opposite color, it's going to make it more gray. I mean, we can dilute it with the gray, but it also neutralizes the color. That's how the light works. And there's like all these things like understanding light. Uh, it's law. It's magic. It's like well, the people who understand it, they make amazing things. You know,
So those, what you're actually like using, what are those called? Like to actually put the ink in the skin,
needles.
the needles. There's different needles that do
Oh, for
different
sure.
things.
It's the same as like a brush for me. I think about it as a brush. So you know, like people could use the white brush like this, and we have mags, and those like to paint big areas or block things. And there's a smaller brushes when you go into the face, like when you paint on a canvas. It's smaller brush. It's more tight, but it goes into a dot. So we have round shaders, round liners that are put like this. So you have more control of it.
Mm.
Um, so it's just like that, or you can think about it like some people do tattoo with a smaller tat with the smaller needles. They think about it as a marker, or like a pencil, and they just almost like drawing with a pencil.
So I guess it depends on what you're going for, or what
There's a
process.
lot of techniques for sure, and sometimes skin doesn't take it. Like I try to adjust the technique, but it is what you're going for. Like if you're doing a small tattoo, I would not use huge needles unless you want to do like a wash of a background or like a color to another color, but it's like a big area. You
Mm.
don't want to spend a lot of time coloring that area, so just take a bigger needle and you color it faster.
Gotcha.
But sometimes with a smaller needle, it comes out more solid as a color. Um, so that also you have to keep it in consideration.
Well, you do a lot of photorealism in your work. I looked online, and you also emphasize those in a couple of interviews that like you like the photorealistic style of tattoos. Can you go into depth on like what exactly what kind of separates photorealistic ones from just kind of regular? Like what are the like kind of the subsets or the styles of tattoo art?
I don't think I do exactly photorealism, but I mean, the idea of a tattoo is to do something that would basically stay on a skin for a long time. Because sometimes when you do lighter colors or like a wash and try to look as real as possible, it might not last very long. So sometimes like a bolder and more contrasty color will stay longer. But people, I guess, consider photorealism when you don't outline things with a black outline. But I do sometimes, even for flowers or something, I do outlines, but you don't see them on a photo because they're so thin
Mm.
and there is so much contrast. So I can put a black line, I can put a black behind it, and you would not think there's a line there. But it holds the ink. And I mean, photorealism in tattooing is basically copying the photo, maybe adjusting it to an extent that is like technically gonna look good on the skin.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So then there's a lot of like I feel cinematography that goes into tattoos because you have to know where like the when you make a design you have to know where the light is, where the shadows are
for
going to
sure.
be. So like walk me through that process like sort of like let's say a client wants a picture of someone.
hmm
You have to decide where's the key light coming from, like where's his shadow side? Is he going to have like a hair light that's on the edge? I think it's very interesting because you almost have to like you get to manufacture your own sort of like studio lighting in a tattoo.
We do sometimes, yeah. If we put things together from different subjects, you need to keep in mind where the lights are for sure, because you cannot put something that is like backlit next to something that is front lit. It's not gonna
And then it falls apart.
yeah, it's
Like
not
it
gonna
starts
look
to,
together in
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
composition. Or you need to keep the shape and basically create your own light to understand where the reflection is and where the shadow side is and all that stuff.
It's almost like a movie poster, like because in movie posters the light's coming from the same way, and like you have like all the people. So in tattooing, you have to make sure, like let's say like you have someone who wants to add to a tattoo that you didn't do. You have to like match that basically, like to the best of your ability, right?
That's hard, yeah.
It's hard, right? Because they
Yeah.
have a different style too. So like,
The
you ever
inks
had
could be
someone?
different, yeah.
Have you ever had someone like come in like, oh, like I want to like extend this, or like I want to like put this here, and it's like not your style at all.
We do, but we try to basically tell them to go over it as well, because it's gonna look so different.
Yeah.
Like I've had a lot, and even if I add and keep the tattoo how it is, they come back and they're like, "Can you actually go over this?"
Yeah.
So it all looks the same. But yeah, it happens. But you said it right. Like a good tattoos are almost like an old school movie posters, because the movie posters are exactly what we want to see in a tattoo. They're bold, they're contrasty, they have all this like really deep backlit, like that
Yeah.
light there and the good contrast.
Well, there's also, so the guy Derek that I did before, before you, he has one that Sasha did. It's like a sleeve,
Oh, fine
but
line,
it's
yeah.
it's fine line. So
Yeah.
that's also a style, right? And I
Yeah.
feel like, to my knowledge, I don't have the most knowledge on tattoos. You know, I'm 21. I have no tattoos. But don't tattoos sort of over time they fade? And like if you get a fine line one, wouldn't it fade faster? If
I
it
mean,
took
if it's properly done, it should stay. But it is, yeah, tattoos they age, and also it depends on what person does, because some people, like I don't go in the sun. I barely go in the sun. If
Gotcha.
you go in the sun every year, if you get a tattoo like that,
So
It's
I'm.
gonna age.
Do tattoos react with different like skin pigments? Because
Yes.
I have olive skin.
Yes.
So is there things I need to look out for if I were to get one?
yeah, for sure.
What?
So if you put certain colors, the melanin that goes under your skin, it almost gonna look like somebody put a tinted paper in front of the ink. So if something is like white skin tone, any light tones, if you go in the sun and you catch the sun really easy, your light tones are gonna look a little brownish when you have a sun. So in the summer, like if you get a tattoo in the winter and then you can go in the summer to the beach, and then after a couple of days you're gonna notice, you're gonna be like, oh, my light colors look a little muddy. That's what happens.
I like to tan too in the summer because
Yeah.
I get really tan. Like I don't know about you. Do you burn or do you get tan? In
I
the
can
summer?
get 10, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like if I were to get a tattoo soon in the summer, I'd burn the fuck out of it, you know, and then
Well, that's what we tell people. Hey, sunblock every day. Like
Yeah.
even you go in the winter outside, there is sun. Like you
Yes.
do catch the sun. And I know for a fact, like I've seen people get a tattoo on a hand. They don't go outside. They just drive a car, and the hand is there driving a car. And I
Yeah, and
see
it's
they
getting
got
the
like
sun.
a tan
Yeah,
right
yeah,
there, and
yeah.
the tattoo is like changed. I'm like, dude, put a sunblock.
You know what's funny? I had experience with my skin reacting to sun. It was when I was on Accutane. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's basically, it's like I used to have a lot of acne, so I wanted to get rid of it. They put you on this pill, but it dries your skin out like a lot. So then your skin has no water, and it's very sensitive to the sun, so you get burned easily. So my skin, I'd go out and it'd be like a cloudy day, and my face would be red because my skin was so sensitive to the sunlight.
Makes
So I
sense.
think that was a brutal experience because my skin was just freaking like burning all the time, and I don't ever burn in the sun. But I think if I were to get a tattoo, is there like a common place that people get tattoos for the first time? I was thinking I might be crazy. I wanted to get like a little piece on the back by the collarbone,
That'll be cool.
right underneath the chains,
Yeah, that's cool.
like a little like bird or something,
That's
because
cool.
it's subtle. I want to get like here, but my parents would fucking kill me.
Yeah, your parents will be like, okay,
Yeah. Okay.
we don't talk to you
Yeah.
for.
well, first it was like I used to have a job, and then I quit it to do this like film, and they're already a little like, wait a minute, why you shouldn't you get a job? So then if I come home with tattoos, they're gonna be like, all right, this guy's off the hook now, you know? So, nah, I joke. They're supportive of it, but like
He's wilding.
the tattoos definitely to the parents. It signals like a rebellious type of thing. But I think in the film world, a lot of people are tatted up, even actors.
Oh, for sure.
But I'm curious because like for certain roles, like Matt Damon, he has tattoos on his arm. But if he's doing a role like The Odyssey, who's he's the
They
lead,
put a makeup on it.
so they put makeup on the tattoo.
I tattooed a few people. I tattooed a guy that was in a Teen Wolf. I tattooed some actors. And they make you sign a release. They would be annoying. They're going to send you a release because if the tattoos show on a movie or a TV show, you can sue them for using your
Wow.
art. And they make you
Wow.
as a tattoo artist sign a release form that you agree for your tattoo to be on the show. But then
Wow.
I tattooed a guy that was on a Teen Wolf and one of the main actors, and
That's crazy.
he has a lot of tattoos, and they would put a makeup artist next to each actor, and they would spend a few hours just to cover everything. They would literally, you wouldn't even tell that a person has tattoos or don't. And I think there was a commercial. That guy passed away. There was a guy, Zombie Boy, in Europe that had his whole body, his whole face was tattooed, and they did a commercial of some makeup company, and they literally make up him that you wouldn't see a single tattoo. He looked like a
Wow.
normal person, and they're like
I think that's,
recommending that product. They're like,
and it's like, yeah, what
yeah,
the fuck? It's completely
and then
fake.
he washes it off, and he is like all tattooed.
That's so interesting. The whole idea of like you have to sign off on your art potentially being used in like a movie,
Yeah.
because I think that could bring some good attention to your art. Let's say like actors got, but I feel like a lot of times they don't let you like act. They want actors to be clean, like no tats basically on screen, or what do you
Well,
think?
unless the movie calls for it, but sometimes like I see what they did with McGregor with that movie that he played in. It was they erased some of his tattoos, but they put different tattoos on him. And they
Interesting.
make artists draw tattoos on a person, and it looks a little bit unrealistic
Yeah,
because they literally use the makeup to draw a tattoo.
yeah.
And you see, I mean, it looks okay from far away, but for a tattoo artist, it's like, this looks fake as fuck.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, what is this horse shit?
Because you're fucking you're a fucking tattoo art. I would probably be like it's I would think it's real.
Better put a sticker and like stick it
Yeah,
on and
yeah,
just peel
yeah.
it off than draw it with the makeup.
Well, walk me through your tattoos here. I see you got some roses going on.
I got Guns N' Roses.
Oh, that's fucking sick. I didn't even know those are. That's I like
Yeah.
that a lot.
It's like a Tommy gun and an
Like
AK.
Rambo. This
A-
guy's
AK
this guy's the
Tommy
Russian
gun.
Rambo.
Yeah, I'm shooting from my arms. My arms are my guns. You know?
Yeah. And then I see you got like a purple flower.
I have like a Jesus portrait on
Oh, nice.
on my upper arm, and then I've had this done a long time ago. Actually, this like
Very
a
nice.
skull. This
Very
was probably around like 2008 or something. It's like
So,
old.
so you like the colors a lot. I see. You like.
I have a lot of stuff with the black and gray on my legs, but I try to keep it. If something has color, I'm not gonna put a huge black and gray piece here
Yeah.
and have like a color piece next to it because it looks weird. Like if I would have a clean arm, I would probably get a whole black and gray arm.
That's what I would probably do.
Because I mean, I actually love black and gray, and if I would have like a clean arm, if I would laser this arm, but I do like these tattoos like together, I would get like a whole black and gray idea, because it just looks good.
Do you ever have clients that like say I want to do this design, I don't know where to put it, and
Yeah, of
you
course.
have to determine where it goes. How do you sort of like navigate that? Like, okay, we're gonna put this here, and it's gonna look good. on
Well,
this
I
body part.
sometimes I have a client actually in a few weeks, and she said I either want to put it on my thigh or on my back shoulder, or I think she said somewhere else. But like when I design, I put the picture of the body. Sometimes I make a design, then I put a picture of the body, and then I overlap it and put like opacity down, or I put a like a filter in Photoshop so it takes the background out and it looks on a skin. So I see how the muscle comes together with the design flow. But it also is when I have a design ready, when I'm putting a stencil on the person, I see how it flows there. Because sometimes putting something small in a certain area, or if you flex the muscle, it can distort some shapes. Like if tattoo has some circles or something geometric, if you like flex some area, the
Yeah, yeah.
circle is going to distort on that place, and you're like, okay, that does make sense.
Almost like a
Yeah,
bending
you
out
cannot you
here.
cannot place like faces or something in areas that are gonna basically warp the
Yeah,
face.
yeah, yeah.
You
It
you
look
need
weird.
to you need to find like an area where you're gonna put that, which is flat and would never change over
Mm.
time. It's not gonna change. So there's of course like it goes to suggestions, but we also do print the image, or we do a stencil. We put it on a person and then show it in front of the mirror. We're like, hey, you can see where it's going to be, you can see the proportions, you can see how it looks with your body, and then we do it. We don't.
Do you have a favorite area you like to tattoo?
So I like tattooing a lot of forearms, but I also like the legs. So for me, like these areas get the least sun out of the
Yes.
body.
Yes.
So if you're doing a color, this looks the most, it's like the most.
Unless you're on a nude beach,
Yeah,
in
it's
France.
it's like the most wide area out of the whole body, and tattooing there is the best. But I do like the arms. I do like the arms, how it flows. The legs are easier to tattoo for sure, and it's bigger canvas. Um, some stuff like neck and like chest is really, it's hard because it's um,
I feel like it's also sensitive on the
it's
neck,
very
right?
sensitive, and I know some people are like, let me get this whole thing, and then once you start after 2 3 hours, they're like, I can't do it. So that's the thing. Like I tell people sometimes, hey, you're not gonna sit for more than 4 hours. They're like, no, I'm gonna sit all day, and then after 3 hours, they're like, fuck, I'm not gonna be able to do it. So
So does anyone like back out of a thing midway through, like a design, and then how do you fix that? Like, let's say someone is like doing a neck tattoo, and they're halfway, they're like, I can't do this shit anymore, and like
no,
they
they
want
come
to,
back.
they
I
come
mean, we
back.
also have numbing cream and all that stuff. Like even we don't have, we make people buy it and
How
just put
bad
it.
does this shit hurt, man? Is it like
It's
what?
not
Describe
bad.
the feeling.
Well, the feeling is like a cat scratch over the sunburn. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad actually. I tattooed a lot of people. They started soothing, like they would sit and they enjoy it,
Mm.
like weirdly. I don't know.
I
It's
feel like maybe it's an unfamiliar feeling that they're just
yeah.
they're getting the feeling
But a
for the
lot of
first time.
people get it in their head that like, oh my god, it's gonna hurt, it's gonna hurt. I mean, unless you're getting something on a sensitive area, like on a ditch or like middle of the chest somewhere, yeah, it's gonna hurt for sure. But I think like any tattoos I got, I kind of enjoyed it.
Mm.
And upper arm, upper legs, like all my legs, I sat through really well. It didn't hurt. Like it didn't hurt. Like, oh fuck, I can't sit anymore,
Yeah.
unless you have some health issues or you're super sensitive. But
So can you tell a story through a tattoo? And like, have you ever had to kind of like, let's say someone comes to you, I want to like tell this kind of story about, let's say, I don't know, a person in their life or something, and you're the director. You have to come up with the design. Like, that's a lot of pressure, I feel like. And how do you craft a story into a design that's gonna last for their whole life? It's a lot of pressure, I feel like, on you to make
oh, for
something.
sure. I mean, we do have a lot of people. They reach out with emails. They put a lot of things, a lot of thoughts in a tattoo, and they put their story and they have some suggestions. But they want you to come up with it, so you put time for sure, do research. But you also have to keep in mind like sizing, how the things work, the person's skin color, and all that stuff. It's so much that goes into consideration.
Well, it's also like they're managing their expectations almost. Like, let's say they want something unrealistic, and how do you like bring them level to like, okay, this is what I can do. Like, this expectation is unrealistic.
Well, we have that as a conversation in consultations before the actual tattoo, or during the whole during an appointment when the people come. I show a design and a person will be like, "Hey, I don't want this here. I don't like this color." Like, it is a talk. It is a collaborative process
Mm.
between them and me, and for sure, I'm gonna suggest because I have experience. So I have like 16, 17 years of experience. So I would suggest what's going to work. And also, sometimes things get adjusted because you work on somebody that you've never worked before and you don't know how their skin is going to react. Like you
Mm.
can see somebody pale white and you start tattooing and the skin is like so thin and sensitive that it
Yeah.
doesn't take color. That's also certain things are gonna adjust basically. Like
Mm.
I'm gonna start working, and then if we do a next session, I'm gonna change things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for sure.
Where do you get your inspiration from for designs?
Well, I said I look at a lot of Pinterest. I do look and some tattoo artist work that I enjoy, and then I think mostly art. Like I love classical art. I love some Renaissance paintings, and like I love looking at art. I think whatever artists are doing, they're just replicating certain things, but I don't think a lot of people are creating anything new. I think it's all there, and it's all been in the fine art world. So it's like better to explore that and
Yeah.
get an education in that. That's very inspiring. But I also I don't know, like I think experiences in music and a lot of things. I can put some music and it just puts me in a mood.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had inspiration from people as well. Like I actually talked with somebody today that I almost put me into like I was like I want to write. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
keep talking with a person kind of
You want
inspired.
to like write
Yeah,
like.
like write, yes.
Mm.
Like I love some. I used to write some stuff, but I'm like you get inspired and it just flows through you, and you're like, okay, I want to do this.
What have you written, if you don't mind sharing?
I wrote for magazines actually before.
Oh shit.
So yeah, I
Okay.
wrote articles for magazines, and I've done it when I was second year in college, and it was really successful. But it's a different story. I mean, I've done a lot of things. It turned me off because the industry is very like it's more like who you know. I was in a good place because somebody put me there, but then after like half a year working, they hired somebody else because the girl's dad was like a politician and she finished the university and she needed experience. So he came
Mm-hmm.
in and he was like, we need to put her to work.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was still getting an education, and they didn't care because I couldn't work there full time. They wanted somebody full time. She graduated from
Interesting.
university, and they're like, sorry, you have to go. And it was like upset me a lot, and I was like, I don't want to write anymore. So
So you're writing like, I don't know. Let's say there's like like section of the magazine about like a certain event. And
yes,
you're
yeah, that's what I
basically
did.
like almost like journalism.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Have you done any creative writing like on your own? Like I don't know, like maybe poems or anything
Yeah,
like that?
I can do that too a
Yeah.
little bit,
I,
but it's only if you have an inspiration. Like I feel like if I don't have an inspiration, doesn't flow through me. But I do want to learn about the script, like writing a script and stuff like that. I've
yeah. Yeah.
been reading some stuff. I don't know, like I'm scared because I'm like if I write something to share with somebody, I'm like, well, it's gonna be a shit, and somebody is gonna just say, okay, this is
Well,
complete shit.
it's funny because on the last episode, Derek brought up this story about the guy who wrote The Godfather, and he didn't go to school for screenwriting or anything of that nature, and he wrote The Godfather, right? It was a hit, and then he's like, you know what? I don't really know how to screenwrite. Like I should probably get a book and like learn from like a book how to screenwrite. And he opens the first page, and the first page
Says
says,
Godfather.
"Number one, read The Godfather script."
Well, they put a lot of Godfather in the screenwriting books. Yes,
Yes, and
they
he
do.
didn't even go to school for it, but sometimes it comes naturally.
I think a lot of things come naturally for sure. I think some people have talent for stuff like that. I do think it like some people are good with math and numbers, and some people just should be creative. You
Not
know.
me. Not me. I'm yeah. Well, I'm in college now, and I was a film student my first semester, and then I switched to marketing. So I'm now a business student. So I'm graduating with a business degree because I was like, dude, I could learn all the film stuff by doing it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we're here doing it.
Yeah.
I'm here working with Black Sail doing it with Sam. I'm doing it on my own as well. You know,
Yeah.
like I'm making short films. You know, like we'll get to the lenses that you rented, towards me, or you let me borrow for that film. So it's all like, you learn by doing more often than not.
I think the same about anything.
Yeah.
And I do think about like you can learn so much more just being around somebody
Yes.
than just going to university or school and wasting your time there. I mean, you can get a good knowledge. I've seen some people that go to university and they come out, they're like, oh, I'm like, oh my God, you're amazing. But it's very rare. And a lot of people who even go get an education, they just wasting their parents' money and like
Oh yeah.
trying to go somewhere because their parents push them. But
Well, sometimes people don't even know what the
what
fuck
they're
they
gonna
what the
be, yeah.
fuck they want to do, and like I felt with my thing with this it was since I was a kid, you know, and same with you. You've always had an inclination towards writing and creativity. You know, some people you just get born with that spark. You
Yeah.
don't need the schooling to tell you, you know. And I feel like if you need schooling in order for you to be passionate about something, you were never to begin with passionate about it. You know, that passion doesn't come from school. It comes from when you were born. Like it comes from like the heart. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm trying to do with the photography. Actually, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to get disappointed with the business side, so I just do it as a hobby sometimes. And I'm like, because I feel like if I start doing something like videos or photos full time, I will need that side where I need to support myself. And it comes to doing a lot of projects that you don't want to do and you don't like doing.
Oh, absolutely.
And for me, it's like, okay, if I do it, I can enjoy actually what I'm doing.
Yep. You know, I found with Sam, I don't do anything I don't like. He has like some great clients. I feel, but there are some jobs that I've done in the past, not through him, like through just I used to do like a lot of portraits for people.
Hmm.
I don't like it. Like a lot of portraits for like people graduating school or something, or like even like I've never went into weddings, but I've just heard people are like stay away from weddings. They're like some people love them, and you love shooting weddings, and you love shooting weddings. But
Yeah.
for me, that's not where it lies. It lies in making like cool shit. You
Yeah.
know, like we with Black Sail, we do construction, tattooing,
Yeah.
we do cars,
Yeah.
we do all these different things. We do like there's a defender safety, which is these like helmets they wear on construction sites. So we're like bashing them and showing how tough they are. You know, we're dropping them, like we're making slow-mo clips. Like that's what is fun. And but I do agree with you. Sometimes the business side, and you're like, okay, I got to make money this month. I have to take this like boring job.
Yeah,
But
but they
same
can
with
pay a lot.
tattooing, right?
Yeah. But you know what you just said? Like it reminded me about journalism when I was the first year in college. Like that was so fun because I worked for a huge magazine and we're literally like a call, there is an event and we're gonna go to the airport and they literally put us on a small tiny planes, like a private planes, and then they doing an article about people owning their personal private planes. And they literally flew us like
Yeah.
over whatever and then you write about and you take photos
Mm-hmm.
and I would never get that in my life.
Yeah.
And then and like another day they call you, they're like, oh, it's going to be a new airport built there, you have to be there. And you're literally like with the whole government administration with like writing about that in that event. Or like another week they're like, oh, you're going to take this train that's going to be a new train going from this city to this city.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a brand new train and you're like, it was so amazing. I was like, I don't know, 18
Yeah.
years old or 17 years old, and I've seen all these things. Like it was really cool.
Well, I think just being a creative, not just filmmaking, photography, journalism, tattooing, you get to do a lot of things that you don't normally do. Like, for example, like when you go on a shoot, the person that you're shooting, like whether it's, I don't know, a promo video or something, it's something they don't do regularly too. So
Yeah.
both of you guys, the client and you, are experiencing something for like the first time, basically.
Yeah.
So it's a new experience, and there's almost like a synergy created from that you feel. It's like exciting. It's exciting to do a new tattoo design. It's
Oh, for sure.
exciting. It's exciting to do a new shoot with a new artist or a new music person, right?
For sure.
So it's much better than being in a cubicle at an office, fucking typing on a computer.
Yeah,
And
it's definitely an energy exchange, and like a lot of comes together. Like I felt yesterday, I worked on somebody, and it was like when you connect with somebody and they feel what you're doing.
yeah,
And you do amazing product, and then in the end of the day, you get also financially paid for it, and both people are super happy, and like the outcome is there, it's going to be there for life. So it's like it's very eternal.
Yeah.
And it also is a piece of art. It means something for a person.
Well, that's the most rewarding part, right? Seeing the final product and how that impacted their life. You know,
Yeah.
you do a design, and they see it and they're loving it, or maybe they're taking pictures of it like months down the road. It's like you did that. You know, this was your thing. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Do you have like almost like a your proudest design that you've ever done before? That's like, yeah, like I that was a fucking good one, and like that's like sort of your golden design.
I don't know. I've done a lot of good. I try to do year by year. I try to do technically stuff better because I see how things heal over time. So I adjust a lot of things in that
Mm.
sense. Like the way I tattoo, the way I place things. So I mean, I really like every single project that I worked in the last year, uh, the last 2 years, like pretty much, and I think they're really nice. But you also shift over time to certain things because you do a tattoo and then 10 years after you see the way it's aging, the way it's healed, you're like, okay, I did this lines there and I did this color there. Maybe I'm gonna do it a different way, you know.
Mm.
You like learn. It's good to see like go through a thing over time and then see how things age, and then adjust through that.
So you're almost like always a student of the craft. Like you're always
Yeah,
learning. You're always learning something. You're always getting better.
I think it
Um,
should be that way. I think if you think you're great, you're basically dead in that industry
yeah.
because, I mean, you can be great, but you always need to learn. Things change. The world is dynamic. Things that are popular 10 years ago, they're not popular anymore. And
Yeah.
even I've seen people that come up and like be crazy big somewhere, TV, social media, if they don't change, if they don't improve things, they just die off and everybody forgets it, you
Well,
know?
yeah. I think if you can't look back at your work like a year ago or like maybe 2 years ago and say I could have done this different, like you pick it apart and you actually see where maybe you went wrong or something could have been improved, then you're not really growing. You know, like I look back at my videos even from 2 years ago, even a year ago, and I'm like, the lighting, what was I doing with that? I wasn't recording in the right bit rate, or I wasn't recording in the right white balance. I'm like picking apart like it's fucking French fries, man. Like I'm like, I could pick apart the whole entire image, and I hope that that happens next year. You know,
Oh,
so
for
I'm
sure.
always getting better. So it's always like an up, like a staircase almost.
Well, I mean, once you're in a mood of like learning, once you have it in your head and you looking at other things and try to understand how it was done, and you keeping like searching for that, searching for inspiration, I think you're gonna keep changing it. You're gonna keep growing.
But it's exciting though to
It
learn. You
is
know what I mean? Like
for
it's
sure.
exciting to know, like learn how things work, how lighting works, how cameras work, how like Aries, for example, how they're different from Sony. What lights do what? You know what I mean? Like it should, if it doesn't excite you, then you don't love it.
Yeah,
You
for
know?
sure.
Like if you don't want to learn something, if you don't have that fire of like I want to get better at this. I want to really make it. Like when I walked in today, I'm like I want to make a sick shot of like this.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we did a pretty good job
Yeah, I
for
think
the
so.
most part.
I think so too.
But it takes that sort of inner like drive to be like, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna fucking knock it out of the park. And maybe, let's say, I don't know, it could have been better. So what? You still are putting the best effort forward. You put the
You
best
look at
foot
it
forward.
5 years later, you're like, oh, we could have done this way and
Yeah,
not
of
that
course.
way.
Well, that's always it's the best speech I've ever heard. Matthew McConaughey, when he received his Oscar, I think it was for Dallas Buyers Club. I don't know if he won best. I've never seen the film. It's on my list. I don't know if he was a lead or a supporting actor or whatever, but he gave a great speech about heroes. Like, who's your hero? And he said his hero is me in 10 years, basically. And he's always chasing it, and it's great because you never get there. You're always chasing something, you're always getting after something. And it's almost like setting a goal that is unattainable in a sense is good in a weird way because it forces you to keep going and growing. Because let's say your goal, I don't know, let's say your goal is to like do a new type of tattoo design and you get there, well then what's next? You know what I mean? But if you do one where it's like, I want to be me in 10 years and almost like trick yourself like that, just to chase like a better version of yourself always and everywhere,
Yeah.
that's gonna make you the best possible. You're gonna be the best person every day. You know. I think that speech definitely spoke a lot of
That's a good
volume.
perspective for sure.
Yeah. So I want to switch gears a little bit. We talked a little bit about tattooing and the artistry behind it, but I want to go into because you're a business owner. You have this shop here. You're the owner of First Class Tattoo. So I want you to walk me through like starting the shop. What were you looking at? Multiple locations? Why'd you pick this one? Why'd you pick the city? You know, what got you here on Canal Street?
Um, so originally I work in a big shop. Was It's still probably one of the most popular shops in the States and the world. Um, Before I opened this one, but the idea to have my own business was there for a while because I think you have a lot more freedom
Of course.
in a lot of sense because like the shop where I worked before, there was some rules and like you come in dressed up like this, they're gonna say, hey, it's like inappropriate for the clients or certain things, you know, and like for me to have more freedom, even in a sense, maybe I kind of didn't have as much freedom that I wanted because I had to be here more. But I also wanted a space where everybody is creative and no egos. And
Mm.
um, also, I mean, maybe like I knew when I was doing it, it's going to change myself. And I think it did change myself the way I see the world and the way I see the people
Mm.
because it's a scary thing to open a business because you're signing up to having a crazy rent. And then what if you don't have clients the next month? How are you going to pay it?
Yeah.
And you're putting so much money into it, like to build a shop, it probably cost me $200,000 or maybe even more just to like do construction and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So you're like putting so much money and you don't even know if it's going to succeed or not, but it does change your perspective into things and it makes you grow uh, as a person,
Mm-hmm.
and then you start looking at people a different way, you start appreciating different things. And I mean it it was not easy at all. Like for me, I've had an idea to have a shop, and when I worked for somebody, when I started looking for a space, I had money saved. um, Everything in a certain areas in the city was really expensive. Like I wanted something in the Lower East Side, and I was looking for something more like a second floor. But then a second floor, you cannot put a sign outside, so I was like, it's not gonna get a street exposure. And once I saw this, it was a little bit too small for me, but uh, it was cheaper rent than maybe a couple blocks away from here. And this area itself, the people who lived here, they know what I'm talking about. This area 10 years ago, there was nothing here. Like I first, when a lady was showing me, I came to the neighborhood and it was all Chinese authentic stores that sell whatever. There was all warehouses and people that sold some whatever restaurant equipment and stuff like that. And you walk into a store, you're like, hello, can I ask you something? And they didn't even speak English. Like I walked around this area. If you know what I'm talking about, if you've been here on Orchard and Canal and you come here now, you're like, holy
I
shit.
feel like like we're hearing people walking outside. They're out on Friday nights.
Yeah,
It's like
it's literally restaurants and coffee shops and fancy places. This block and X block, and once the hotel, whatever, 9 Orchard opened up, it changed a lot of area as well. But I think I was the first person that changed it because I feel like when I opened a shop, two next door people, it was the people who owned the building, they had stores and they decided to rent it out to somebody because for them to run a business and make no profit, it was better for them because that was a reputable shop.
yeah.
For them was better to get something more like a retail next door, and they could rent it for more money. So people started renting spots, and it was like a coffee shop there, coffee shop here, coffee shop here, and the whole area, like 3 4 years, it changed so much.
But you were set on the city. You definitely wanted to be in the city.
I think city definitely attracts different people, and I don't know about now. Like back when I was looking at Lower East Side or this area, a lot of younger crowd, but people that have enough money to live, they wanted to be here because it's so much around. You don't have to commute. Like you can literally walk downstairs and you have gyms with the different workouts. You have all these stores, all this retail. People in New York, they love outside food, restaurants and all that stuff,
Yeah.
going out. So for them, the convenience, even the apartments are so small. Like if you would go look at apartments upstairs, they're like
Yeah.
tiny closets, but
Well,
people do like it. So for me, like a city is definitely a different crowd. And I've worked when I moved here, I worked in around this area. Like the shop where I worked before is probably 10 minutes away. And then another shop where I worked before is literally down that way. It's like 10, 15 minutes.
I want to live here. I want to get a spot in the city eventually. And like I feel like I've always been debating in my mind like the whole space thing, you know, like it's small apartments on a reasonable amount of rent. So I'm like if I go to the city, I don't even know where to go. I don't even know where to start, right? And then there's Brooklyn's an option, but I just feel like, you know, obviously it's very expensive. So it's just
But
how it
this
is.
was a cheaper area. I mean, right now it's expensive, but when I got a shop, this was definitely a cheaper area. And I know a lot of celebrities and a lot of people in tech, they got apartments
Oh yeah.
around here because for them it was convenience. Like you don't have to commute over the bridge and drive a car. Like they live here, they go walk one block and they have amazing food. They walk another block and they have a gym, one of the best gyms with the workouts and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
everything is so close to you. So a lot of people, I don't know about now, but like I think it's the same. It just got more expensive, but
Mm.
a lot of younger crowd. Because if you got the kids or if you want a family, you definitely don't want to be in the city. You're gonna move somewhere where you can have a bigger space and a backyard or
Mhm.
something else. But for my clientele, I do get different clientele, but a lot of my clientele was like 25 to 40, like the majority, or no,
Yeah.
actually 25 to like 50, the majority of the clientele. And a lot of people actually lived in an area, lived in a city. So it was,
Mm.
now it's not so much. Now like I get a lot of people who even fly or drive from all over the states. Like
Mm.
if they're set on a tattoo artist, they're like, oh, I don't mind. Like I have people flying from Florida, or uh, I've had few weeks ago. I think it was really cold week in January, and I've had a person flew from Nevada, another person flew from New Mexico. It was like one after another, and after another. I was like, wow. I was
Mm.
like, people pay for fly somewhere to get a tattoo for a day and fly back. I mean, it's not that expensive
Well,
in a
well,
sense, and you're getting something for life.
well, first class tattoo seems to be a pretty big name around here. You got like 150K on Instagram, right? You yourself, you have like 80K. What did you want to do differently with the shop to begin with? Like, how'd you want to differentiate first class? Even like the name too, I feel like is great because it's like a premium feel. You know, first class, like on a flight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I was looking for a name that stands out, and I was looking for something that there's no shops. Uh, so I actually copyrighted the name. Nobody in the States can use that name. There is another shop that is first class, but I don't care. But like if I see somebody opens that name, my lawyer send them a message and be like, hey, can I use that name? Because I copyrighted the name. It's under my name. So I closed a few shops that open a shop called First Class. Sorry, guys. But
Shutting it down.
you put so much money and so much work into marketing and building a name, and when somebody pops up and start putting money into that, but they're in a different state, some people think it's a franchise. So people, instead of going to us, they would go and drive down the street and go there, and they're, oh, first class too, right?
Mm.
So they just go there and spend their money there. But like, I mean, it is a competitive world. You have to live like that, I guess, and protect yourself. Um, but what I do differently, I think I definitely want to have a bigger space and maybe have more light, more windows. But it's hard in a city. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
Like to find a decent place, uh, because if we're busy, we're really crowded here, and it gets packed up.
It does get packed. I remember being
Um,
in here with the video rig, and
yeah.
everyone's working. I'm in with the tilt-a-ring. Like, nah, I'm not trying to intervene on anyone.
And back in the days, for first, I think 3, 4 years, it was so busy here. It was literally no space. Like I remember days when every station people were working every day. It's just so much more competition right now. But I do remember back in the day, we even put like a red line with the tape there just not to let people through and
Wow.
keep the
Too
people
many.
at the front. Like we bought a thing. Like I
Mhm.
remember first when I first opened, it wasn't as busy, and then it like start popping, and there was like lines of people trying to come in. I was like, we need to separate the front, and like people cannot pass by this line.
Yeah, yeah. Who's the most famous person who's been in here?
I mean, we tattooed a lot of people. I don't. I try not to kind of. I try not to say this person this
Yeah, yeah,
person
yeah,
that,
yeah. I
but
gotcha.
I tattooed a lot of people, like actors, YouTubers, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Business people. I tattooed people that made billions of dollars. Had some people that are in all kinds of stuff. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I hear so many crazy stories from people that train military to people that work where in a jail where Diddy is and like all that stuff to like criminals and God knows who, like people flying their own helicopters to here and like to get a tattoo and parking
I
it somewhere.
I
Like
feel like there's also a lot of filmmakers, right?
I get a lot of filming. I think that I actually picked up the interest into the filmmaking because I had a client that was consistent client that was a filmmaker,
Wow.
and I think it inspired me in a sense to pick up the camera. He was here for a long time before 2020, but I just see somebody producing something that is, it clicks with you. You know, when you see something and it feels like this is yours and you need to do something with that. The same with a lot of things, like you kind of go in a room and you're like, this is home for me, you know, and then like that's I think why I picked up the camera.
So then, that's a great segue. Let's go into that. What did you start on? What camera? Like, what was your first experience with a camera? I guess you know you've been a tattoo artist, right? You've been doing tattoos. Maybe you tattooed a filmmaker here and there, and you got inspired. So where are you starting with with the cameras?
So I watched a lot of videos of people talking about and all the like even back in 2020 a lot of YouTubers, there was a lot of bullshit there, but I did pick up a Sony camera, and I think it was the Sony A3 or something or something like
A7 III
that.
maybe.
Yeah, and because somebody recommended, said it's like a good camera, and I think it just came out back then, so I think I picked up like right after it came out.
Yeah, you were right in there.
Um, and I didn't understand a lot of things, so it was like a lot of trial and error basically because I've shot um, in a regular settings. I didn't understand the S log and all that
Yeah, of
stuff.
course.
Uh,
That comes
how
later.
to color grade and watched a lot of videos how to like edit and I've had experience with Adobe Premiere, but I watched videos how to edit, and I definitely want to do something with like DaVinci Resolve or uh, the Final Cut Pro, but I'm definitely most comfortable with Adobe because I used it before, and the whole Adobe thing because I use Photoshop and all those programs for many years. It was much easier for me the system itself, but I do understand some programs are a little bit better, like
Da
the
Vinci's great. Da
DaVinci for
Vinci's
color
awesome.
grading and doing all this
Well, I don't. I use it for
separation.
everything. It used to be just a coloring program, and then now it's a full on editing everything. You know, you can even do like After Effects stuff in there with their Fusion panel. But yeah, that's always a war, like Premiere versus DaVinci and stuff.
I think Premiere is behind for sure. I think Premiere needs to step up the game because it doesn't have a lot of tools. It's very like I say the same about Lightroom. Lightroom got much better, but um, if you take the Final Cut, no, the what's that program? Like
Which
I forgot the program. So in Adobe, you start adjusting things, and it's very abrupt. Like if you start changing a tone, other
for
programs,
photos? Are you talking about photos?
yeah,
This is
photos.
Lightroom. Then I think I know what you're talking. You can extend out the bar on the right.
y-
You can like slide the panel. It gives you more like room, but it's still very like
They very abrupt. Like
yeah.
if you change to like one step, it gives so much more. But other programs, if you don't go into Adobe, it gives so more latitude to adjust things that are not as harsh as
Yes.
abrupt. So if you want to play like little finesse here, finesse there, it's so much easier.
Well, That's why people love Da Vinci. It's very precise. You can go like very, very fine tuning, and they have that board too. You can buy the coloring board with like dials on it. So, yeah, definitely the better coloring program. So, do you do a lot of freelance gigs frequently? Like, how many are you really doing like per month, or is it kind of more of just a side thing?
Well, I did a lot before, but sometimes you get busy with the personal things. So
Yeah.
when in some years, I would just do a project after project after project, and you kind of get a flow and you get inspired. I think in 2023 or 2022, yeah, 2023, I did a lot of project in that year. I was like really inspired, and I also wanted to get better so I can bring it into tattooing, so I
Yeah.
can film better content for the shop. So I started originally like an idea to learn the cinematography and all that stuff was because my ex was doing stuff similar to tattoos. She was doing permanent makeup and to shoot a content, but to shoot content that stands out. Because I remember when I first opened a shop, I've had a girl, she's a friend of mine. She actually did this shirt, but
Hmm.
she did videos for brands, and she came in and she shot a video. It was 2016, and I was the first person in the whole tattoo world post a video of a tattoo shop because nobody did it. It was Instagram was all about pictures, or they
Yeah,
would
yeah,
do a
yeah.
full scale on production
Yeah.
on something. They didn't do like a short video,
Like reels.
yeah,
There's no
or some
reels
sort.
back then.
And she did it a thing, and a lot of people got jealous. I literally, it blew up so much that I've had some shop owners sending me threats because they never thought about doing a video. I was the first person that did it. And then everybody's doing all these reels and all that stuff. Because people will take a video on a phone. Like I've done videos on the phone, they'll do all this like, oh, tattoo here and a
Yeah,
video on the
yeah.
phone.
It's just
But this was shot on like a Sony camera. It was color graded. It was all these transitions like whip here. I can find it. It was a sick video. And it was right when I opened a shop. It was like a first few weeks we got open and she reached out to me. She was like, I can do a video for you in exchange of a tattoo. And I was like, sure. And then when I posted a video, a lot of people, like thousands of people were reaching out. They're like, oh my God, this is so sick. Because it was cinematic. It was like
yeah.
dimmed light. It was all the lights set up. It was all this camera movement. And it brought a lot of attention. And I saw after that a lot of people start doing it on social media because Instagram was all about this is your page and this is your photos.
Do you think social media has changed the creative business model, like for just creative businesses in particular, like how the introduction of Reels came and in what it was like 2020-ish and TikTok? Have you seen a change in like your business from social media?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's very, very competitive because I feel like I'm behind on that. Because we do focus on a product, and as I do tattoos, I don't have time to film the reels and do something as like funny or
Well, I
entertaining.
guess that's why you do a lot of black sale stuff here and there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had to, and I mean, I know some people. I collaborated with people here and there, but Sam, I mean, he's great
Yeah.
with everything. He's very um, like if I need a in a certain time, he'll do it. Like a lot of people, they would come and film, and then it's like months for them.
Where'd you meet Sam?
So basically, the story is I took a Steadicam course.
Oh, what course would you say?
Steadicam,
Steadicam. Steadicam. Gotcha.
yes, and
You took a course on that?
yes, I know how to do Steadicam. I know how to
So
balance it. I know.
there's a whole course to that.
Yes,
What do you like? You learn the movements and the balancing and shit. What do you
yes,
learn?
and yes, and then you do basically as a production, they make an act, and then you have to follow the actors as like a
Wow.
whole long Steadicam movement, and then they watch the show and then the TV. So you film it, walking with them. There's a whole scene, a long scene, and it's a couple days course, and then you walk, and then they show everybody's final product basically, and say,
Mm.
here's a little movement jittery, here's this, here's that. So I met this dude that actually knew Sam and collaborated with him, and sometimes Sam brings him to the jobs. Um, and I asked him, I was like, hey, can you help me? I want to film a video. And he was like, no, I'm only do camera. I don't I don't edit the videos, but he was like, I have a buddy who can edit the videos, so he gave me the contact.
Sam.
Yeah, that's how it came. But I do know a lot of people that did videos, but I always look for something different. So, like your perspective change and you kind of try to rank yourself higher. You want to do a better product every single time. So,
Well, I also think that it's sometimes time is more important than like the artistic vision, right? Sometimes,
that too, yeah, for sure.
like you said, Sam does it in a quick time. Like sometimes people take extra long for things that maybe don't matter as much in videos.
Yeah.
Like people edit too long, or they take too long to process the footage or whatever. Like it's just too long of a process.
I mean, I'm the same way, but I'm busy. Like if I shoot something, like I've had some stuff that I haven't edited in a long time, but I know it's amazing, and it's like a passion project. I'm not getting paid for it. I do want to edit it, but I know it's going to be a few days just to sit, sacrifice my time, and I know if I edit it, it's going to be amazing, and people are going to be like, wow. But
So what passion projects are you talking about?
I've shot some interesting stuff, sure, for like uh, trips I did with people and like stories and all that stuff. And I shot it on video, and I definitely want to post it, but some stuff that I haven't edited, I just don't have that time.
Yeah.
I mean, if there is a project I know for a brand or something else, and they're paying money, or if it's something that's like they're gonna post and mention my name, yeah, I'll do it in time because I know there's a time frame. But the other stuff, I mean, I put business as a priority because
Yeah.
if I'm not here, if I'm not looking at operations and fixing and changing things, it's all gonna go to shit because it's all so many people and little things here and there. And like, I feel like if I stop paying attention, it just stop working out. So I'm like, I have to be here most of the time, but I wish I could spend more time doing creative things that I want to do, but in the end of the day, like the rent and the bills,
Yeah. For sure.
put a pressure on you. So you're like, okay, I need to focus on this actually, not just to do all this fun and passion projects. But I kind of enjoy when I started doing it because it takes my mind off, in a sense. So when I was all in a business the first couple years when I opened it, I didn't do anything for passion. I didn't have like, I would go eat food and like go walk around or go to a museum, but I didn't do anything else to get my mind off. So I was always on a phone. People would text me about work and all that stuff. And I was getting worn off. I was getting sick. Like first few years when I opened shop, I was like getting sick so much. Just out of nowhere, I think my immune system was like stress and all that stuff. I think first 2 years were fine, and after that kind of hit me. And then when I found something as like, oh, it's cloudy today. Like I woke up a few days ago and it was 45 degrees and it was so foggy. And I was off that day. I picked up a medium format camera. I picked up the film camera, put it on me. I was like, I'm gonna walk for 5 hours. I'm gonna find something sick and I'm gonna shoot it.
Yeah. I like
And
that attitude.
and that's what I do. I keeps your mind off. Like you put in music, you're so locked into it, you're enjoying it. And then the funny thing is, I've met a lot of people that are doing it. Like I would just literally walk around,
Yeah,
bump
no
into
doubt.
somebody with like, they're like, oh, nice Leica camera, and they have like the same camera. They're like, what are you shooting for? You exchange social media, or you walk with them for a little bit, and you meet so many interesting people in the city.
You know
Uh,
what? Well, I can apply that to the this obviously
to
I was
the
on a job.
event,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I was on a job. Obviously, I was getting paid for that, but still, I mean, I met great people there. I met obviously Derek, who brought me on a job. I met Ryan, who he did an episode. I did an episode with Ryan and Derek, so like that was already a connection. But also, I feel like you're saying, you get into the groove. I get into a very distinct mindset when I'm like on a shoot, not in the beginning, but in the middle when I got the flow going in my mind. Okay, like I got the groove of the shoot. Maybe not even a shoot. Like I'm going out and I'm just shooting cars on the road or at a car show.
Mhm.
You get into a groove and nothing else matters.
Yeah.
Nothing else matters. It's like you're in the moment. And I think it's hard for people to be in the moment nowadays. Everyone's focused on, they're stressed about the future. But I think photography brings it back. Brings it back to you, and your creative heart and it's a calming feeling because you're not worried about anything else. You're just in the present.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying it. I don't know why, but I when I started exploring things, I've seen stuff that I like, and I was like, let me actually see what it was shot with.
Yeah.
So that kind of brought me to a film photography because I was sorting the folders of things that I actually love that stand out to me. And I was like, let me actually see what it was shot on, what lenses they used, how they used what angle, and all that stuff. And once I break it down, I was like, actually, a lot of those photos were shot on this camera, or a lot of those photos were shot on this lens, or like people that I admire that I'm like, oh my God. Like, I actually met a lot of people that I've looked on social media, and I'm like, this person is amazing. And then you became friends with them. Like, I've had so many people that I met started talking social media, I thought I was like, oh, this guy has like so many followers that he's not gonna respond to me. But then they respond, and then when they're in the city, they hit you up. They're like, hey,
Yeah.
you want to meet there? And then you go and like walk around with them and shoot some photos. And I've had that experience. It's like
Yeah.
so amazing. But that gravitated me toward like buying certain things and trying them myself and seeing, okay, maybe I don't like this, because like you want to find your own. You want to find what flows with you
Yes.
once you get that
Yes.
experience. So you're like, maybe this doesn't work. But I definitely think in a lot of stuff you need to kind of look at what you like and then break it down. And same with the tattoos, actually. I
See,
think with the same.
you're saying like if you know you like something, you need to find out why you like it and what
Yeah,
about it is that you
you need
like.
to like what it is, what you like about it, and then how it was made. Like you can break it down. You can break it down, figure out what day, what time, what they shot it on,
Mm.
why it was used that way, what emotion it brings out of you,
Yeah.
like all that stuff. And then once you start understanding it more, you start when you shoot. Once you look at all this stuff, it comes more natural.
Yes.
Like you see the things that are wrong, but I think our best stuff comes when we build certain work hours into that craft,
Yes. Yes.
and it's almost like more intuitive, that
Mm.
flows through you, that you don't think like, okay, this should be this way or that way. Like I've shot with people that gaffed for 10 years, and the person put the lights so quick that like I would take more time, but put the lights and put like right away the power to where it's supposed to be. And like if it needed like a step back, it's like 2 seconds. But because they've done it so many times, they know if it's that corner, that's the best way how it's gonna
Yeah.
look.
Well, some people think they have to be a jack of all trades, like especially as a video business owner or freelancer. You feel like you have to fucking do everything. Like you have to shoot, edit, pre-production. You have to book out locations or whatever. Let's say you're doing like a short film, but no, like people are the people that are great at this stuff, like great directors, great DPs, great camera operators, Steadicam operators. They do just that. They don't
Yes.
do everything.
Yes.
So for you to try to get good at it's impossible. You drive yourself crazy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I try to do a lot of things, and it does drive me crazy. Uh,
It's good to be ambitious. It's just like
but
you need to like you're
once
saying.
once you find like a passion and what
Exactly.
drives you, that's what you need to do. I think our purpose is to find that thing in life. Uh, like it shouldn't be this something that is selfish that you find. It's like more like a calling from
Yes.
higher up, and then you have to develop it. You have to work toward it. Like, I mean, like I know if I would do only steady camera, I know if I would do like as a camera operator, I might not enjoy it. Like it's not mine, but I do like certain things that I want to go toward. Like I feel like if I'll direct something, that's going to be more like mine, because I like working with the people. But I think filmmaking is a collaborative industry. Like if you're doing just a reel, yeah, you can be a jack of all trades. You can learn how this and how that, and it's good to learn and know those things, because you know you're gonna understand what's good.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know how to edit, if you give somebody to edit or color grade, if they do a shitty job, if you've never done it, you're not gonna understand what's wrong or what's right.
Yep. Oh my
But
God. You hit the nail on the head. Because I did a video one time and I passed it off to an editor that I didn't know how to edit or color or anything. He knew DaVinci, but it wasn't good. And I didn't understand. I was like, what did he do wrong? But now, hindsight, I look back and I'm like, because I know how to use DaVinci now. And I'm like, yeah, he fucked up like on so many levels. But you wouldn't have known at the time.
But if you look at the top people, like for example, a model of Parker Welbeck, for example, like
Yeah.
full-time filmmaker, if you look at people like that, they first developed everything and put it all together. And then once they got to a level that they're so busy they cannot do everything, they would either go to a business side because they enjoyed or just film because they enjoyed. And they would find somebody as like a competitive to find an editor, but they will send out the video to 20 top people out of all the resumes that they got, and they're like, oh hey, I want an editor, it's going to be this price for to edit the video, and then I'll send the video for them to edit and then see and compare. But for example, he knows how to edit himself and he wants something that is similar to his edits as like a quality wise and all that stuff. But because it saves you so much time. Like I have a home, I have a huge home. Like I can clean it myself. But why do I want to spend time doing it? Like I hire somebody that I pay whatever 120, 150 and they do it for half a day. And they clean it, they do all the laundry. I mean, I do it sometimes just to kind of switch my mind off and I enjoy it. Or I do cooking because I enjoy it. But you don't have to do everything. And I understand in a lot of filmmaking, like people do work with the same teams. Like I've seen in a production, if somebody work with the same team because it's a collaborative project and you don't want no egos, you don't want no bumping heads.
Well, once you find people you vibe with, you want to stay with them. It's even like directors stay with the same DPs a lot of the time or the same lead actors because they understand each other. You know?
I saw somebody, I know a guy, John Connor. He's like one of the best camera operators and DPs. He got an award for it. And he actually posted something on social media funny. It was like some event in LA and it was his friend was another DP, like a big name. And they gave the guy an award and he was like, this guy's a legend. He was like, but he was on a set with Michael Bay one time and Michael Bay said something disrespectful. The guy just put a camera down and he was like, I'm leaving, bye. And he just walked off set. He was like, I don't want to work with you.
Wow.
And that's it. He never came back. He was like, I don't care about money. He was like, if you're being a dick to me, like you can say all these things, but you like if you're disrespectful, it's a collaborative project. Like all the filmmaking, you need an army to make a film. You're not gonna make a film by yourself. Like you literally need an army, and all people have to work as one, as together. And I've worked with teams when I worked as like a camera assistant or focus puller. Like if I see something a DP is doing and I see a better angle, I would tell them, and they would be like, wow, this is so much better.
Well, sometimes you can get like yelled at for trying to like interfere, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you don't get a loan, it's probably a bad thing. And I've heard so many times from people that work on set and like big production that usually it's like a producer or somebody that is a director that would come and be a dick just for no reason. It's like an ego. And I did work on a project when a person just was like telling what to do but didn't know anything about cinematography. But he was like, no, you need to shoot this, you need to shoot from this angle, you need to go there, you need to go here. I'm like, dude, you don't know anything. Like why like people get in a mood of like, okay, I get into this position and like the company assigned me for this project to sort of shoot all this stuff and it being a dick to you for no reason. I'm like, you don't have to be a dick because it's not gonna come out good. It's a collaborative product, and I have a better eye because I have all these hours that I worked on it. You don't know how to operate this camera. You don't know how to like what angle it looks better. Like I see the monitor, I see what looks good and what's not. Like you cannot tell me.
Well,
But
some people, I tell this to everyone, like some people just, I don't know, they just don't have the eye for it, maybe. And it's,
yeah, that's true.
It's yes, you can go to school for it, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to make that decision on set to be okay, we're gonna move this because this doesn't look good. But some people, they don't have the intuition for it, and they end up making a bad shot.
But I also think the practice and like not only practice in a video, I tell to everybody, I think you need to pick a camera and better a film camera because you have so little, you have 36 shots. You're not like, I think getting having a digital camera, you just go and shoot everything because you know you can pick this and you can pick that. Once I got a film camera, I was like, okay, at first it's expensive. It's like $23 for a roll, and then to process the roll is like $20. So it's like $40 for 36 shots. You're like, fuck. But and everything is manual. But you need to be so precise that you want to think about the shot
Wow.
that it changes your perspective because you're not gonna shoot something just to shoot because you see like okay, but then you're like, why do I want to waste the film on that? But the same with the cinematography. Like I think the film photography changed my perspective onto seeing those things because you start looking at an angle and you're like, oh, is it actually a good angle or I should move here? I mean, it should be flowy in a sense, and you shouldn't just overthink it in that way. But I think learning just the light and aperture and how you're like, before I would go outside and it's bright daylight and I would shoot photos. And now I'm like, okay, maybe I should wake up at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. and go when the light is more soft. And the light in the winter, like a daylight, is softer than the light in the summer. And once you start paying attention to those things, but I've learned that just because I picked up the film camera and I fucked up a lot of film. But
Well, like you said, it makes you more intentional with what you're gonna shoot. Like, okay, I have what was it, like 23 shots or something. You have to make those count. You know,
yes,
you have to be like, is this a good photo or is it not? I also heard someone say that you should shoot in black and white because it helps with composition.
that too.
And you think about this also helps you with exposure because you're not distracted by color.
Yeah.
As much as color is important in all this, you know, you could see if you look at black and white frame through the viewfinder, you can see, okay, is the skin tone overexposed? How's the shadow? It's all monochromatic.
Yeah.
So you're able to pick out each level of exposure, you know?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it also should be a right contrast.
Yes.
But I tell everybody the same about tattoos because, like, back in the day, a good tattoo for me, like, you take a super detailed piece, you literally take that photo and you bring all the saturation down. And if the piece looks like shit, then it looks like shit. It could be very colorful, but if it doesn't have that contrast from black to the brightest white and that doesn't separate the subject, the tattoo is shit. Because a lot of people will tattoo a realistic portrait, but it doesn't have the deep values.
Yeah.
So it looks colorful. It looks maybe real, but it's like a pencil drawing. But you take that photo, you bring Photoshop, put a saturation down, and it looks like shit. It looks all same gray tone. It doesn't have contrast. And you're like, okay, that makes sense because it was not a good tattoo. But in the color, you don't understand, but you trick your eye. I tell the same about the designs. You take a design, you put it on a person, looks good for your eye, but you go to the mirror and you look at it flipped, and it basically, you trick your eye. It was a funny thing. I think I've read in some book, like an old book, old photographers. I think it was Cartier-Bresson or something. Somebody brought, when he was old already, when he was like 70 years old or 80 years old, somebody brought him a portfolio of photos on one of his whatever signing books exhibitions, and he took the photos and he flipped them upside down, and the guy was like, and he started looking at upside down,
Yeah.
and a guy was like, what are you doing exactly? And he was like, it's not about how you see it. He was like, I look at a texture, I look at a contrast, I look at a diagonal lines. I want to see it upside down. I want to
Wow.
see if the photo is consistent and looks good to me like this, not like that. Because you get used to seeing the world this way. But what if somebody sees this world a different way? What if I see, because we look through our prism of how we project the world, but you get used to it.
That's interesting.
But what if you trick your eye and put the world upside down? maybe it'll change your perspective. So sometimes I work on a piece, I work for so many hours, your eyes get used to it. You don't
Yeah.
understand if it's good or not or something else.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially when I grade stuff and I'm going hours, I'm like moving this and that. I'm like, wait, but if I flipped it, maybe I can get more out of it. But as ridiculous as it sounds, it's extremely helpful, and I'm gonna probably integrate that.
So, some things as like just to trick your mind. But I mean, it's good. It's good to take a break. I usually, if I would edit something, I would edit for a whole day and then I would take a break and come back to it the next day. And I think what I can do better. I think also I've learned from somebody that told me, I think every job, and a lot of people told me, like even when I was tattooing, my friend Dimitri told me a long time ago, and I want to tell him that right now. I think he lost a little bit of that. He said, "Why don't you do every tattoo that is for to put it on a wall? Like your Instagram is your photo album, and you want to have every tattoo that you do to pin on that album. You need to have that intention inside of you." Because if you do tattoo just to do a tattoo, I mean, it's a tattoo. But if you do a tattoo to make something awesome or make something better, to make something timeless, that you can pin on the wall. And I think about videos of photography the same way. Like if you go to my house, I have a lot of photos that I've shot. I printed them big, and they're shot on film, and they're on my walls. And I actually enjoy looking at them because on a screen it's like this. I paid a lot of money. I printed them on the wall. They're like this. But they're so amazing because the film photography, like it's probably with a scan, it's better resolution
Of course.
than any digital camera. I put it, they look so real. There's contrast, there's texture.
Is there a different way to like obviously exposure triangle stays the same, but you're not looking through like a digital viewfinder when you're shooting on film. So how do you make sure exposure is good?
Well, it has meters. If to take professional people, I have 2 meters that I can meter, but I kind of got used to knowing what it is. Like I can guess what
Yeah.
exposure and where. I go outside. If it's bright daylight, I know if I shoot on 250 and f600, it's fine. But if it's a cloudy day, once you do it for years, you understand. Like I could tell you around on what ISO, what exposure to put. But I have 2 meters. One is all cameras, they have a meter. So the camera will meter, but it would meter overall. So if something has like a bright face and a lot of stuff is dark, you'll try to balance it. So it could be a little bit wrong. But there's also meters, and people use them for video. They spot meter. So even for digital video, how you do the how you turn and it shows like the green and all that
false
stuff.
color.
False color, yes.
Yeah, that's what we did here.
That people use, but also a lot of people on set that would literally the meter. You can also look at a spots.
Yes.
And you can look at a shadow side and a bright side and a key side, and you can see the difference in between.
And it's like you need the DP would be like, oh, I want a 2-to-1 ratio. So
Yes.
like 2 to highlight, 1 to shadow,
Yes.
and then you get the contrast.
The good gaffer, every gaffer that I've seen that worked for Union, they all have an electronic meter with them. They're not gonna set up the lights and not meter it. They always have a meter.
And then when the DP's like, I want to bring it 1 level up, they bring it exactly 1 stop of light up.
or they would bring a light back. There's like a lot of different. It depends. It depends. But for cinematography, for like a professional video, if you would be on set, like on how people shoot, they're not putting lights like this. Like my friend is a gaffer for a union, and she shoots a lot of project. If they set up, they try to make as real as possible. Like if they would shoot something in a house and they want the light from outside, even if it's a daylight, they would literally put the CRL's reflectors from the top, and they would shoot 1,000 to it that would bounce.
Yeah.
So it creates the double travel light to there, which will look like sun. They'll put it up, but they'll put those like mirror panels that bounce the light with a specific color temperature, and they would make that as look as a sunlight to fill the room. And they tried to basically make the room look as natural as possible, but
Yeah.
also play around putting the lights there that you don't see. That's what some people, whatever, when they do a cove lighting, when they bounce the light to the muslin and then they bounce back, and
Yeah.
then they create a lot of lights as a wrapping around. That's what you talk about the James Bond. That's how a lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
stuff is lit there. It's not lit with the light. It's lit with the cove lighting, basically. I mean, it's tricky, complicated. Everybody has their own style, in cinematography. But like me personally, I like when how people lit movies back in the day. It's almost like
Mm.
what we call Hollywood lighting, when it's a really bright light from behind that makes this clip. Like one of my favorite movies is Inception, and if you go back to that movie and you watch cinematography, it was shot on film. It was shot on Arri 235 and Panavision, but if you watch how the movie is set up back then, which was like probably popular even before that, there's a lot of strong, far away lights with the Fresnels behind that makes this almost like clip so much. But the colors and contrast is beautiful. Now people with the last whatever 6 7 years, if you watch the movies, they're really dark. They're really shot when there is no lights at all. There's a lot of like lights that are bounce and then it diffused through another
It's
thing
a
and
very
then
soft, a lot of
yeah,
soft
super
lighting.
soft,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
a
Too
lot of like
much.
feeling a lot of light, and then they bring, because the Arri cameras have a lot of dynamic range, they bring it down so much that it looks so dark.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, I mean, it is a trend and everything changes. Like people had a thing when they would shoot anamorphic, like
Yeah. That was. Yeah. That's.
and it was, I think, last year or 2 years ago, somebody shot, what was that movie with the anamorphic that they shot? And everybody is like back to anamorphic and shooting all the commercial and all.
When did it come out? Did you
Um,
around when?
some movie that they shot actually on FX3 with like robots and
Oh, the
stuff.
creator.
Yeah,
The
they
creator.
shot with anamorphic, and
Yeah.
everybody right after is like, oh my god, anamorphic, and like
Yeah.
everybody's shooting commercials with anamorphic with a flare. I mean, I have anamorphic lenses that are like very expensive.
Well, everyone. Well, that was crazy because the DP like showed the FX3 rig they used for it, and it's like a RS3 Pro
Uh-huh.
with two like shoulder. It's like a shoulder
Uh-huh.
pad with two handles, and it's on a gimbal with the anamorphic and the monitor. And it's crazy because like this is equipment that we can easily get, you
Yeah.
know, that's available to everyone, and they're making movies with it.
I mean, the Kawa lenses are expensive.
Oh, of course. Well, yeah, that's what really.
I have a set. It's like a $70,000 set.
Yeah.
So, but it's one of the best lenses for that. I mean, I think Panavision is the best lenses.
What
but,
makes what makes cinema lenses so expensive?
Um, well, I think first of all, photography. I mean, they use in a lot of photography lenses right now, rehoused to the full frame, but the cinema lenses, they're built a little differently. They build like the same with the Arri cameras. They build to be used. So there's gears that needs to be very like a flow to a focus motor and all that stuff. The glass itself, it's so much bigger. The quality of the glass is different. They're definitely much more expensive to be made, and they have to be made so really easy to service. Because the photography, if you take this lens, if you bring it to somebody, they're not going to be able to service. If you take a cinema lens, the front is literally screws. They can pick up the top, and you can pick a lens apart. It's very easily to pick apart and clean it and adjust it and like service it. I mean, people have to do it that are well educated,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's a completely different build lens. But also the glass for
It's the glass, right?
cinema lenses, it's a completely different quality glass. Like I personally don't know certain things, but I've heard um, years ago when I was in college, when like they were shooting movies in like 80s and stuff, some stuff that was developed for like a space photography to from the space shuttle to shoot to the Earth. They used certain glass to like try in a cinema because the grade and the quality of the glass was so much better. And I mean, we do like certain things that have character, and people like old 30s, 40s, whatever lens. I'm getting actually a Helios very soon, in like a
Mm.
week or 2 weeks, which became interesting when the full frame cameras got introduced, um, because a lot of people started looking into the photography lenses and trying to rehouse those, because the photography lenses go with the circle of a full frame, and
Yeah.
that brings a bigger frame as the S35. So if you take a photo is like a regular camera and you take a medium format, if you look at a film, the regular camera film, the 35 millimeter is like this, the medium format is much
Yeah.
bigger.
Yeah.
So when it gets scanned, that's where the actual S35 and a full frame on a camera came out. So once you use a lens, it gives you more space around. So the 50 millimeter on the full frame is not a 50, it gives more space. And the same with a medium format as like a photo camera. If you take a medium format, I put the 80 millimeter, which equivalent to the frame, because the frame is so much bigger, is a 50 on the S35. But it gives so much more resolution into the image, so the image size is bigger when you open it.
So, what got you into collecting all these vintage lens or cinema lenses? And what do you got, man? What do you got? What do you got hiding in your apartment, man?
I think the first lens for a cinema camera, when I first got Alexa Mini, I was like, I cannot really use the Canon lenses because it doesn't look very good. So I got a Sigma Cine, whatever, and used that. And when I started looking at things, what I like, actually, I started looking what people filmed it with, and that got my interest into getting a Zeiss Super Speed, because I was like, okay, I love how fast they are, and they can shoot an open aperture, like in a dark light and stuff like that. And then the glass, when you look at the skin tones and all that stuff, is like one of the best glass ever made. So I was like, okay, I should get a set. And then I started looking at sets. They're like $60,000-$70,000. I was like, fuck no.
Yeah.
So I found somebody that was like selling a set that was shot for, I don't know, they shot like a big project in Mexico. It was a little bit worn down, and I've got it for pretty cheap. And then when I shot a few things on it, in compare with my Sigma, when you put the Zeiss Super Speed, it like, oh my God, this is
Yeah.
so different. The flares are amazing. The skin tones are amazing. I'm like, the $5,000 lens versus the lens that is like $15,000, like completely different. I was like, holy shit. And then I started looking at things when I was doing a project. I got the Kawas anamorphic, um, which was amazing too, because I've shot some things on it, and people, when they look, they're like, this looks like an actual movie. Not only because of flares, but the way it renders the skin, the way it sees things. And then when I started like getting people to rent it from me, like I've had a few here and there. Um, I don't know. I kind of got an interest of actually like collecting a couple sets, but I was trying to get most unique.
You explained that you wanted to get into like actually opening like a rental house,
Yeah,
right?
so I started like collecting things, but I think me in New York, I think I have the biggest collection of vintage cinema lenses. To be honest with you, I don't know any other person, and I know people in rental houses, like people do have stuff, but I do have the biggest collection of the most unique and vintage lenses. Like I'm the only person that has Loma super speeds with wide open lenses that it was so hard to find. Like I've seen people when they sell a single lens, they would price one lens for like a non-rehoused lens for like $25,000, and I've searched for years to collect certain stuff, and like somewhere in Uzbekistan, or like somewhere in the middle of bumblefuck, like I would find that lens and buy it for like 5, 6, 7 grand and get it
Yeah.
rehoused. and I have like very unique collection that I'm proud of, and certain things like impossible to find. Like there's lenses that people consider as unicorns, like Canon 24 millimeter spherical SSC lens. The idea was, I don't know, I just got into it, and I definitely want to learn about how to assemble them and like service the cinema lenses, because it got popular right now because it has different look. Because people in cinematography was kind of going with a better resolution, better this, better this, better this, and then people start going for more like a feel. How does it feel? And a lot of even commercials, they switch into shooting on film because it has a different look, because everybody will shoot on Sony and it's all looks the same, but somebody wants like a lens that looks a little fucked up or flares up differently, and like they start looking for all these interesting things, you know. And that's why I kind of got into it, because it's also hard to get the sets because there's not much stuff available with like specific stuff. If you look for like Kowa spherical set, it's impossible to find. Like it's so hard to find. Like I want a set, but um, to buy a rehouse set is probably $180,000, and I don't want to pay that. I want to collect my own, but there's only maybe 2 3 lenses out of the full 6 7 lens set available on market, and each lens, because people know there are no other to find, um, they're literally $10 15,000 for a lens unrehoused, and then you have to wait for it to get rehoused. But I mean, um, but they're so unique. Like if I show you videos, you'll be like, wow.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of movies nowadays are using more dirty lenses,
Yeah,
like
for
the
sure.
Batman and
Yeah, for
Dune.
sure. Yeah, because they look for that look. They look for something different. You want to have the feel, and now with sensor size, because sensor size is big. Before they couldn't do it, but I feel like the film itself came back as like the 16 millimeter, 35 millimeter, because scanners got better, the color grading got better. Like before, when they shot on film, they couldn't do all this stuff they can do now. But once they scan 16 mil in 4K, and they can color grade it professionally with the DaVinci, gives a different look. It like reimagined the whole standard that was a standard in 70s and 80s, and
Mm.
it came back again. And the same with 35 millimeter. If you take like the Oscars, all the top Oscar movies were shot on Arri, but on film, on Arri ST, Arri LT, whatever, um, because film itself, you shoot with the film, it already looks cinematic. But if you also know the light and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
how to see that, and then also color grade it, it's gonna look different. It's gonna look amazing. And people in cinema and videos, they look for the feel. They're not just looking for, like, my perspective of the video is something that you watch that's gonna change you as a person when you finish watching it. That's how I think about it. Like if you take just the videography and you're creating content, it's one thing. For me personally, like I don't want to go that direction and never want it, because I mean it feels like a job at the end of the day. But if like I do want to make something that will change the people who watch it, it can inspire them. There's a lot of feelings that come from it, but it's basically putting your life as like uh, showing it through the lens.
Mm.
And I saw something that Rick Rubin said. It was actually interesting, because he said you don't have to look for an audience to please an audience. You're an audience. You should make something that you would watch yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like think about what you want to see, and then you create that. The same with a tattoo. Like if I'm doing a tattoo on somebody, I want to think about it as like, what if I put it on myself if I'm gonna wear it for the rest of my life? How I'm gonna feel? That's my perspective in that thing.
Mm. Well, yeah. I mean, I think a rental house would be sick for
Yeah, I
sure.
do. Like it came as an idea, but I know it's a hard thing to accomplish. I know it's a lot of investment, but I see. every year, I mean, it was like a strike and it was a lot of people being laid off, but I see every year more and more people get into filmmaking, more and more people get into that content because I mean, we see videos every day and we see videos as um, how to make things, how to change things, and like educational, but we also want to see things that inspire us or stories that are never told. That there is so much going on in the world and people want to share. There's so many people that experience being through war, through all kinds of stuff. And I also have friends and I talk to different friends. Like I have a friend that owns an organization that helps to bring people from Iraq, Iran, and all that stuff, the people that have been imprisoned and tortured for their beliefs and stuff like that. There's so many stories that like aren't told. I mean, we see some stories get into movies, but I also feel like even my story, I can put it out there because I have money, but you need so much attention and money just to get your story heard. Like if you look at people being deported or stuff what's going on right now, like I've heard stories from people running from the war in Ukraine and crossing the border to be in the States and going all the way, like walking in Mexico and like going all the way here. That could be a movie, but you know, the certain industries like Hollywood is so family oriented, not letting people in and all that stuff. To get that movie out is very hard. Like if I'll pitch an idea, they'll be like, oh, this is bullshit,
They want to make money.
because they're political and they also want to make money. But um, the independent film or like a short film could be an interesting, because like some people's stories needs to be told, because we can inspire, we can
There are so
uh,
many stories to be told.
we live, your word and your act could save somebody from committing suicide or changing their life completely. Somebody can be watching this video and sitting with a needle in their hand and being like, this is like nothing left in my life that I love, but then they hear somebody or watch something and it's almost like another voice speaks to them from the inside. They're like, you can change your life. And that's how I feel about filmmaking and stuff, because
Mm.
it should inspire. And the same with the tattoos, actually, because a lot of people that come, they get a tattoo because they went through something in their life or something happened and they want to capture the moment, or they want to put it out there on a skin just to have it with them, to have as a reminder. Like I remember how I felt when I got this done, how I felt spiritually, how I felt as a person, and who I was at that time. And I would remember it even 10 years from now, 20 years from now. I can go back into that specific time. It's like a captured moment in my life. And a lot of people get that as like tattoos as a memory, but it also, I think, in a sense, helps them to go further. It's like a stepping point. But I feel like a lot of stuff that we see can also change us or inspire us
Mm.
in a sense, because I mean, I've seen people that have a talent, but they keep trying not enough, and then they would give up. Like I even seen it in my family as like my parents in a sense, and like see some people getting potential, but then they settle for average, when they could have used their voice or use themselves or do something bigger, do something better, but they
Yeah,
don't.
I think there's always just a story to tell, and it can be anything. It could be a story you just made too, like Up, and it can be with anything, anywhere with whoever, and you get to, steer the story, and it's. I'm making a film right now about water. It's like such a simple thing, water. It's
Yeah,
like, what do you mean? And it's like, no, I'm gonna show you that I can make a story with water.
yeah,
Like that's the magic with filmmaking is I take one thing and I can make a story out of it. And
yeah.
there's a million stories just waiting.
I mean, you can also play it out so many different ways. That's the.
Hmm. Like someone else, like if we were both to make a water film, yours would be way different
Oh, I know.
than
I
mine and
when I
vice
went to
versa.
college, a first year, I think a guy that was teaching a photography, he put a camera on a tripod and he put like a same lit scene of like some fruits and whatever on the table, and he asked whatever 20 people in class to take a photo from same camera from the same tripod. None of the photos matched. They didn't even look the same at all. So
Yeah.
it's always like that, and we do see the world with like everybody sees through their prism from their perspective, through their experience that
Yeah.
they've had before.
What do you think your end goal is? I guess
My
as
end goal,
as a creative. Yeah, yeah.
well, it's a tricky thing. Um, I think as a creative, we always try to find ourselves and to grow. But I'm like very sensitive. I sense some things what I should do, and I do have like a big goal. What I want to do is like a dream, in a sense, and I don't want to share that. But
Mm-hmm.
I think like if I would share stuff like that, you kind of in your mind you're like, okay, I did it in my mind. So I want to keep it there as like a secret and like keep going toward it. But I also think like stuff in the middle, it adjusts from, you learn from life and you kind of see what's good or what's not, and like change your perspective, and like
Mm-hmm.
things that I dreamed of or wanted before, it definitely shifted. And um, like I enjoy different things right now that I would enjoy 10 years ago, because your body changed, the way you process things change, and like um, but I definitely like I enjoy educating myself and exploring and discovering certain things, maybe because I am that way, and that's what my parents raised. And
Mm-hmm.
um, I definitely like, I wanted to make a film as like to kind of explore myself, but also put my past experience in my life out there in the screen, because it's always been a dream. But I mean, also like the world is changing so quick and so drastic, and I feel like we also get influenced by a lot of stuff that's going on around. So I cannot
Of
say
course.
this
Yeah.
is going to be this way or that's going to be that way, because before the COVID happened, we had I personally had great plans and everything was going really well, and then whatever, we got a lockdown, we had to adjust to it. We didn't even know how long it's going to be, so we're like locked down for whatever 5 6 months, and after that was something new, and after that was something new again. Like Russia and Ukraine went to war that gave me some trauma experience from, I know people who live in Ukraine, I know people who got affected in Russia, I know people that their kids got drafted to fight in a war, and those people are my age, like the people whose kids got drafted.
Yeah.
So people my age, their kids are 18 and got drafted to fight in a war. It's crazy to think about it. So, and like in stuff like that, you have no choice. Like you just like, the country tells you to do, and like if you don't do it, you go to jail. And a lot of things that are been going on, it definitely changed a lot of people. And I think um, in a sense, like good films, good movies can make people more comfortable, or like say my, as I said before, share somebody's story,
Mm.
could inspire somebody, or just like, I don't know, like a one good movie can change the world, you know? Like one good movie can start a revolution. A one idea can change so much, everything. But it, just my thoughts. I don't know.
No, I actually that's like a great closing statement. Honestly, I feel like that's a great like one line or one movie can change the world. I like that a lot. Um,
It can.
yeah, no, it can.
Because, you know, like I've seen certain books that change the world. And I've seen, like, if I would read a book, if I would put my life into the book and I put why I became this way. And you read the book, you're like, this is the best book I've ever read. And you go and recommend it to a friend, and the friend recommends somebody else, and the friend goes recommends somebody else. And them also, if they read a book, if it inspired them,
Yeah.
it spreads the world. But uh, so many people are gonna find out, and it might change them, might make them better, you know. Um,
Nice.
so I do think it that way because, like how they say everything, that things that go viral, like you can create something and it can get viral, like you can get famous overnight because you can just put something stupid or something amazing there, and then millions of people watch it, and out of nowhere you're somebody, but you're nobody before. It's the same way, you know.
Mm.
But I put as my goal to inspire and to be kind, you know, because it's too much stuff going on in the world, and
Yeah.
like you can wake up and be nice to your neighbor and be kind to environment and be kind to the world, versus just going into abuse and destroy and distract things, you know. But
Hmm.
uh, that also, I feel like that was my goal for so long, that I taught people how to tattoo, and I try to put myself into it, because like I think about, what if I die tomorrow? Like, okay, I've had business, I like done these tattoos, and people will carry them for life, you know. But they'll remember me a certain way, and maybe the tattoos will bring them joy, maybe they don't, maybe they'll hate it after a certain time. But what did I actually do? But if you learn something, I think to share, to teach with somebody, your knowledge will leave through them, because you take time, you develop certain things, and you learn with your experience. But you can help other people that are looking to grow to learn through that as well. I think it's the blessing, you know. Like I just understand the world. Like you were born a certain way. Like if I was born in this bad neighborhood and I haven't seen anything outside, and I see everybody is drug dealing to make money, I'm gonna go and be drug dealing to make money. I don't know any other life. But once if you take me and bring me to completely different place where people are kind to each other, and people share, and people give more than they get, and I see it and it clicks with me, it affected me as an energy, you know. And I'm like, it could actually be this way.
Hmm.
I don't have to be that way.
Hmm.
That's what my perspective is. So I do try to share, in a sense of share the peace of my soul, share the kindness to the people that I try to teach, you know.
Hmm.
That's an idea. And I wish everybody will be a little bit that way, because I feel like the world maybe will be a better place. But and I don't know.
Where can we find you on social media?
Um, so on Instagram, my tattoo account is Mikhail Andersson with the two S's. I also have a mikhailandersson.com as a website. I haven't updated it in the past few years, so it's like a little bit older works from 2018, 2019. And I do have some photos at Instagram, mikhail.nyc. I will have a website with my videos and photos soon, maybe in another
Mm.
few years. But I'm very critical to my work, so I'm like, I don't like posting much, and sometimes I just put in pieces in an archive, because I feel like I grow so much in the last few years, so it like got better, and I look at the older stuff and I'm like, I actually don't like this, so I just delete it. But um, I do, as like a big idea, want to have uh, a rental house with the most exclusive vintage glass for cinematography, and I have a huge collection. I might collect a few pieces, but I just don't have a couple $100,000 sitting somewhere. Like I got lucky with certain things. It just was like meant to be, and I snatched some stuff for much cheaper than it cost. Like if I sell my stuff, it costs a lot of money right now, but I didn't pay that much for it. And uh, I hope I can accomplish that. And if I don't, I wouldn't be disappointed. Like if um, that's what was meant for me, that's what was meant for me. And if it wasn't, then uh, I'll have another life. Like, I always think, if to put me back in a day, I never dream of living in New York. I never wanted to live in New York. And um, if you ask me when I was 16 or 18 years old and tell them my life right now, I would not believe it. I'd be like, you fucking crazy, get out of here. Like I would literally would not believe all the stuff that I've done, but and all the things that I've seen and the stuff that I accomplished for myself. You know how they say, like, make your 18 years old proud, but I even didn't look to make myself proud. I just kept going, and my whole thing was um, like at a certain point when you start to believe there is more out there than this world, when you try to get some spiritual guidance and say, hey, God, can you guide me and put me in a place where I was supposed to be? And you're not looking for like just getting money or making something for fun. You're looking for more like a purpose. Then you start walking with that purpose, and you start seeing, like, meeting people and seeing signs, and like seeing where you meant to be. And I feel like that changed my whole path, because I think you have two roads, two options. But I don't want to say, like, hey, this is going to be that way, because it wouldn't. And I'm going to make this because maybe I'll make something different or something better. But I do think that whatever was meant to be, it's going to happen for sure. And the people don't come to our lives for no reason. Like, we get all this as to learn from the experiences and to grow ourselves. Even if it's a bad experience, it still comes to our life to learn and get better.
Fucking awesome, dude. Well, I appreciate you doing this. This
Of
has been
course.
a fucking awesome conversation. Very, very insightful for sure. And I hope everyone could have taken away as much as I did. I learned a little bit about you today. So this has been fucking awesome.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, this has been Film Forest, episode 8. Stay tuned for future episodes.